So, welcome back to Room Temperature IQ podcast. Today I'm going to be hosting. My name is Stas. Today with me we're going to have Rahul.
What is up?
Noah.
Hello there.
And Pedro.
I can't cut this bag open.
That is a good introduction, Pedro. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, today in the plans we have talking about SCPs and maybe discussing some other shows that we've seen. So let's go with that.
All right.
Who wants to start about their SCPs? Of course, if you actually found SCPs before starting this podcast.
We should probably address what SCPs are in the first place.
Yeah, because some of the listeners might not know.
Some people might not know what an SCP is. So it stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. It's a creepypasta, fictional story kind of thing where people invent stories about either photoshopped pictures they can find on the internet or pictures they create themselves, and it can be about literally anything. And yeah, it's some people find it very interesting, and they like inventing stories themselves, or people like us just like reading them. And today we shall be talking about some that we found and that we find rather interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a free writing project that any person could pick up. You could just go to their website and write about SCP however you want. It's like a real life lore if you want to. It goes over this organization called SCP, which is trying to find anomalies in the real world and try to contain them, secure them, and protect others from it. I guess where they got the name from it.
Exactly.
Ha ha ha.
Haha, very funny, I know, guys.
Well,
Good
yeah,
one.
like
Thank
Stas
you.
said, is anyone willing to start?
Thank you for silence, guys.
All right.
So,
okay.
I guess I'll start.
Go ahead.
Let me pull out my favorite
dear.
SCP.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go
It's
with the-
the code name for it is SCP-1417. It's a very extremely dangerous object that's quite easy to contain, so it's considered object class safe. It consists out of two items. One item is just a paper that has only one thing written on it. Not really one thing, but it has a couple boxes that you could tick, and some boxes stand for flare gun, tire iron, corkscrew, pocket knife, and compass, and of course rest. The second piece of the SCP is a banana. It's a half-peeled banana that you cannot really keep on peeling afterwards. It produces a resistance that even the robotic arms could not keep on peeling it afterwards. These items appear to be somehow connected because if you tick one thing on the paper, the banana is going to take the shape, but will try to imitate the object that you ticked on the paper. The SCP Foundation found this object while a police was trying to storm a hostage situation in a certain house. The police witnessed a certain person holding a banana next to the throat of a person, saying that he would kill him if they came any closer. Of course, the police officers thought that it was a normal banana, and they came closer only to see a splatter of blood coming into their faces from the throat of the person. After that, SCP found this banana. So naturally, if you could use this banana to kill people, to use it as a flare gun, and unfortunately, it after some time it starts rotting. As far as I remember, if you do not put it to rest by ticking rest option on the paper, which is quite interesting, but at the same time, when I found it, I was kind of confused. I expected SCP to be, some creepypasta scary stuff, but all I found is a banana that can turn into a knife and a flare gun.
I mean, some people might find that a bit creepy.
Or terrifying, perhaps, bro.
Or terrifying, yeah. That's fair.
What if you have a crippling fear of flare guns?
Yeah, you have some form of
flare guns and bananas. Must I remind you?
Imagine having an uncontrollable fear of bananas, and this guy walks up to you and just slices your throat with one, bro.
Yeah.
Jeez. That would not be fun.
Bro, actually, like SCP has so many SCP articles related to bananas. It's just stupid. Because I remembered
I did
about
not
this
know that.
SCP and I was researching for it. Well, not really
Mhm.
researching, I was trying to find it. And I found another article, like also about a banana, but this time it's a banana that when you peel it, it's actually empty on the inside and it would like suck you in as a portal into a different world,
Oh my
where
god.
banana people live in. And you're like,
Wow.
okay, very nice, very nice.
Imagine if you're afraid of bananas, you live in a banana world. Oh lord.
Nah, it's
That would
terrible.
be even worse.
It would be terrible.
Well, should I go next, or is anyone else willing?
No, go ahead, Noah.
All right, sounds good. Well, the SCP I shall be discussing today is SCP-3000. It's a level 5 classified object, and it's under the object class of Thaumiel, which is considered to be like godlike.
Oh damn.
And so it's not contained because it is an enormous. People say it's a leech. Some people say it's a serpent. Some people say
Actually, Thaumiel class is a class for SCPs that are meant to control other SCPs, meant to contain other SCPs. You are factually incorrect, bro. Come on. You could have done better. You could have done better. Disappointing.
I've been told that Thaumiel is godlike. It's like a semi-god because it's this SCP is also known as Antashesha, which is the god of all serpents.
You mean Nidhogg?
Sorry.
Nidhogg, bro, from Norse mythology, bro. You know the snake that
yes,
eats its own tail.
references. The one that Loki grew, right? Am I
Bro,
correct?
I'm just name dropping Nidhogg, bro. We hang out every Saturday.
Nice.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. This is from the research that I've done, and this is the information I've been given. So I shall continue with the information I've been given. And
It's
pretty
okay,
much
no.
this SCP is extremely large. People say it's hundreds of kilometers long, which is kind of scary. And it's impossible to tell how big it is because nobody has seen its full extent as it's coiled up, and some people even say it's coiled up around the world at the bottom of the ocean, which technically doesn't make sense, but I mean, I guess. But yeah. And so pretty much with this SCP, the reason they can't really contain it, or one of the reasons, is because it uses mind control, and anyone that gets close to it just completely loses their mind. And they say that if you get too close, the leech serpent, whatever you want to call it, coils up inside your head, and you can feel its presence in your head, and it just vibes there whilst you slowly lose your mind.
I always knew snakes were evil.
I mean, this is an extremely evil snake. And well, to go with what you said, Stas, about it's used to contain other SCPs, it's actually used to clear other people's minds because it has a black gooey substance that is excreted from its body.
Right. I remember about it. It's used to create amnestics, they call it, in SCP lore. An item that's used on people to make them forget. They have different types.
Mm-hmm.
And it's apparently one of the better ones that you make out of that guy,
the
right?
only problem is they have to sacrifice a 1 class D personnel every single time because it has to eat something for the black goo to be excruciated from its body. So
well, as far as I understand, class D personnel in their lore is a person that is expendable, but they're expendable for a reason because they're like serial killers or other people
they're condemned criminals.
Yeah, they're condemned criminals that would
so they don't really
people would not
need
pity
them
if they die.
Well, so apparently the head of this creature, it can be found off the coast of India, and a ship apparently went down there, and that's how they first discovered it. And I mean, there's a bunch of pictures you can see on the internet of like a massive snake like wrapping itself around a boat or like coming out of the water, but from the research that SCP has gathered, it never leaves its I don't know, nesting place, if you could call it that. It's a resting place. It just stays there, and the only thing that moves is its head every now and then. It only moves if it senses something coming close to it. So it doesn't eat if it doesn't have to. And yeah, so I mean, in my opinion, I found this one extremely interesting because I've always liked things that are undiscovered in the ocean, since we only know like 11% of what's in our oceans, which is kind of crazy because it's all around us. But you know,
oh my god, internet has a ton of footage of like divers and other probe robots just seeing some weird thing that nobody ever saw before for one time, and just it disappears and nobody ever finds it. That gives me the chills.
I mean, it's interesting though, because like we don't explore our oceans. That's the thing. We know more about our moon than we know about our oceans, and our ocean is on the Earth. Like if they actually sent out a team to a random place and went down, like really far down, you probably could discover so many more new species that we've never seen before. Like
it's arguably as hard to explore deep ocean as it is to explore space. At least like
because the pressure,
not too far.
I know, but I mean, I still find it kind of crazy that we know more about space than our own oceans.
Yeah.
Anybody
else has their SCPs, or
I could go next.
You have an SCP?
Yeah, of course. I love SCP stars.
You do?
All right, well, go ahead. Let's hear it.
My SCP is 3008. It's the interdimensional IKEA.
Oh my god!
So
yes!
This is one of my favorite ones. It's basically just this giant IKEA that was bought. The site for it has been bought and turned into a undisclosed site of the Foundation. And basically, inside of this, when you go inside of this IKEA, you just can't leave, and you're trapped in the IKEA. And at night, in the morning, there's these IKEA like things, right? They're not people, right? But they're like completely made of skin, and they're dressed as IKEA employees. And during the day, they're like passive and they don't do anything.
Mutations.
But like at night, they start attacking you and they'll kill you. But as they attack you, they're just calmly saying, "Please leave the store. IKEA is now closed."
Bro, that sounds like a horror of my 5-year-old self. When my parents would take me to an IKEA. And like you could imagine, like in Russia, to drive to IKEA, because they're always outside of the city, it would take hours. Then you get to it, and then your parents would spend thousands of hours just going through things,
exactly.
Going through all the furniture that they are not planning to buy, only for you to get out of it, because like the IKEA is designed that you have to walk through entirety of the furniture that they could like suggest to you. It's always been like just so annoying. It would be my nightmare to like be there forever. Holy hell.
As you might have heard, the meatballs that they make at IKEA are from the unfortunate people that don't find the exit.
Indeed, that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
It is a good theory. Are you willing to sacrifice yourself to check?
I mean, as a fellow Swede, speaking on behalf of IKEA,
you have the inside. You have the inside humor.
They do have good furniture and meatballs. Not gonna lie.
Is it true that Swedish people have a special pass to gain like secret information from IKEA?
I think you're hiding something.
IKEA actually stands for some special spy organization in Swedish. That's why they're all over the world. They just collect intel on everyone. That's why.
No comment.
No comment? Oh.
No comment.
I'm gonna make you crack one day. I'm gonna make you spill it out.
Well, it's interesting with the IKEA, the Infinite IKEA. I watched a short film, on it. And apparently one of the stories was they built a fort.
Yeah, no, the thing with that IKEA and all that is known about it is, there's only been one person that's made it out alive.
Yeah.
And that one single record, and all the records come from his diary. So yeah, there's like forts and there's IKEA cities made out of furniture, and there's like a bunch of survivors. And the most interesting part is at one point, like the guy notices a drone, and the SCP Foundation did send a drone in there to like survey, but they did not send that one drone that he spots, because he spots 2 drones. And like, the question is, who sent that drone? Was it the real owner of the IKEA?
Well, I mean, also what I've heard is that it's not only people from our world that get stuck in it. It's an interdimensional, like you said in the beginning, interdimensional. So it's probably,
I'm pretty sure it's
from
only
SCP.
humans that end up in there.
Yeah, well, only human.
But it's like from
different
all
dimensions.
sort of the dimensions. Yeah, that's true.
Dang,
Yeah.
bro, that sounds like a good story. Like
is, it
SCP
is.
Yeah,
Foundation
you could make
versus
like
some
a TV show around it.
SCP Foundation versus some other extremely secretive foundation, but like SCP Foundation does not have an upper hand because that secret organization is aware of SCP, but SCPs are not aware of that organization, and they are losing. They're like fighting a losing battle. That would be pretty cool. That kind of reminds me that like SCP has a ton of canons, like different stories that are like based in different canons. Did you read any of them, Pedro?
Like I've not really read any SCPs. I just usually look at YouTube videos on them, but I've like heard a bunch of them.
Yeah, I'm talking more specifically about tales of SCPs, because like apparently people write like entire stories about it.
No, yeah, that is true that people do that, but I have not like read any of them.
Yeah, but like majority of those canons, right? I read about them. For some reason, majority of those canons just tend to like have, oh my god, it's the end of the world and all SCPs broke away. Like now people of the apocalypse have to fight all those SCPs.
Oh no!
Oh no! I am an original, but I want to write about SCPs.
But I mean,
okay. No harm done. Like probably those stories are probably even good.
Don't insult the hard workers.
Yeah, I didn't read those stories. I wouldn't know.
But I'm okay. So I was talking about the short film. The one I watched is an animation. It's from the YouTube channel, just to credit, SCP Animated Tales from the Foundation. It's
is it
a
the
very
guy
good
who
YouTube channel.
makes lots of SCP animations?
Yeah, he makes like they're like still images, but they move. If you know what I mean. It's like drawings, but they kind of move, and so does the characters in it. It's very good.
Oh no, I saw some other guy. Let me find him. You can keep on talking about yours. I mean,
another one that Pedro recommended to me, which I didn't even realize I was watching, is The Vogue. Is that how you pronounce his name?
The Volgan.
Volgan, yeah, exactly. He's
very,
very
shout out
good.
to the Volgan.
He takes his and he's very in character when he explains the stuff, and he explains it very well.
Look at us getting involved in YouTube drama. I mean,
there's no drama.
I know, with like YouTube politics, bro. I don't know.
No, but
let me have this.
Definitely a shout
bro,
out
I
to
can't
those
find
two.
his channel. But I remember there's some guy on YouTube that would make 3D animations for SCPs, and he would like make it first
The
person.
Rubber.
I don't remember. Did he make a video about the back rooms? Remember that creepypasta?
I don't know, I'll be honest.
Bathrooms? What the fuck?
Back rooms.
Oh no.
Okay, fine. It's not really important. It's not really related to SCPs.
All right.
But it was like sort of same style as some SCPs, so he made a 3D animation on it. Maybe
honestly, people that do that, it's very, very cool and very impressive and much appreciated.
Yeah, I tried to make some 3D animations. It's so hard. It takes lots of time and effort.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we should listen to Rahul's SCP now, as he also has one.
Yeah, so my SCP is SCP-900. No, sorry. SCP-920. It's about a guy called Mr. Lost. Now, Mr. Lost is a special case of a Chinese man who apparently at birth had a brain defect. He was missing a certain part of his brain, and because of this, he is always lost, which means that he shows no signs of direction. He just moves randomly. He has absolutely no sense of direction or altitude or orientation. He does not seem to understand the laws of gravity because he keeps jumping up expecting to float, but he keeps falling. He's broken his ankles multiple times simply due to the fact that he does not know how to walk properly.
Jesus.
And any person with prolonged contact to him also ends up like him. And as far as we've seen, this condition is irreversible.
Are you
Damn.
part of SCP Foundation already, bro?
Uh,
Doing some improving your career, bro. Holy hell. Hopefully not
He's
as
leveled
a
up in life. He's become
hopefully
one
not as a Class D employee though.
of
That
Let's hope not.
might say something about him.
Yeah, I mean I feel like that's an interesting case because it's not dangerous. It's definitely like a safe SCP, but it's only safe until you come in contact with it. But I mean, how would you even find it? How would you find a lost man?
Well, see, that's the point. They found him, and they locked him.
And then he got lost. And they lost him.
Okay, I don't know if this is true, Roll. Maybe you'll have to fact check me, but imagine if the guy, he gets so lost, even when he's locked up, he manages to get lost from the containment cell and somehow disappears.
He gets locked
Yeah,
outside.
Exactly. That's what I implied.
He's always
that would
lost,
be mad. That would be mad. That honestly,
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
I mean,
Yeah.
see, that's the thing. They did lock him up, but the issue is, he seems to have sort of like a psychic pull. So people within a certain distance of him and prolonged exposure will instantly get this urge to talk to him and walk with him, which is kind of freaky.
Yeah. Oh man, that's
that that man's been to places. Must be really entertaining person to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, if he remembers them, because he's so
But
lost.
he's lost, bro. He doesn't know anything. He's like, where am I? And he's like, oh, are you okay? Are you lost? He's like, where? What? Who?
Okay.
Yeah, that must be a bit odd. Do you guys have any other SCPs? Or should
Actually.
Okay,
when I was reading about those
back.
SCPs, as you guys have noticed, majority of those SCPs we talked about are not dangerous.
Oh, let's hear one.
And SCP Foundation kind of measures danger of an object not by how deadly it is, right, but how hard it is to contain it, to secure it and contain it. So I kind of searched up one of those objects that has the highest containment difficulty, and that is object class Keter or Keter. I don't know really how to pronounce Keter. Okay. Yeah. It's SCP-1055. Imagine. One of the secret sites of SCP Foundation. Deep underground there is a room that looks like a normal room where a normal person would live. Military personnel, or not really military personnel, but armed personnel, has to stay 50 kilometers away from this site.
Jesus.
Stay and always be on high alert. Only people of a certain class are allowed to come in the place. So you might ask me, what is located in this room? And I'm gonna tell you, it's a guy with Down syndrome, just living there. What?
Is it Kane?
No, it's not Kane.
Oh.
It's just a guy with Down syndrome.
Really?
Yeah. So a person has to walk in and do everything that the SCP-1055-1 asks them for. And that can be anything from providing him with food and other stuff. He always appears to have a teddy bear in his hands. A very ugly looking teddy bear, but teddy bear nonetheless. However, of course, there's a catch to him. There's a reason why all of that has to be like that. 50 kilometers radius, people unarmed and not meaning harm walking in. And that is because SCP-1055 is kind of an info hazard, as they describe it on their page. The real SCP is not the guy with Down syndrome. Wow, who would have guessed, guys? Am I right?
It's the teddy bear.
But the teddy bear he's holding.
Yeah.
It is a creature that looks like a bear. However, it increases its size depending on the threat that it is sensing from its surrounding area. So the more threat there is, the more intent to cause harm to it there is, the bigger it will become. and apparently it's impossible to terminate this SCP because it would grow in size proportionally to the level of the threat that it is experiencing. So, for example, every single means that they have tried to destroy this this creature, dealt only just enough damage to get rid of the flesh that it grew from the act of trying to kill it. So you cannot really kill it, unfortunately, for those guys at SCP. And it managed to escape already 12 times. But on the 12th time, on the ruins of the site where it used to be held, they found a guy with Down syndrome holding tightly a small piece of flesh that looked like a bear, aka that teddy bear. Apparently, the creature does not feel any intent of harm or fear or any other emotions from the guy with Down syndrome, which is an anomaly that SCP cannot explain. So they assigned him with taking care of this SCP, and he has to live his life continuously holding to him.
Damn.
Of course, other people in SCP Foundation have to come in, feed him, do all the stuff that he asks for, because he cannot do it himself. The guy with Down syndrome, even though he has Down syndrome, he is fully aware of what is going on. And however, he is still advised not to tell the caretakers about what is going on. They still think that the SCP-1055 is him and not the teddy bear he's holding continuously.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
That's why all the military guys are not allowed to be near the creature, because if they're closer, they're afraid that it might sense the intent to kill, or rather danger, and the creature would start growing again.
Wait, so what if
That makes sense.
the military personnel or the very armed
Well, it's
personnel
not really
does not...
military personnel. As far as I remember, they have their own personnel, right? Lore-wise. Yeah.
But what if they don't follow along with what the guy with Down syndrome says? Does the bear get angry? Or how does it work?
The guy with Down syndrome is just a normal person who was...
he has nothing to do with the actual threat.
He has nothing to do with the actual threat. He's just there as a mean of maintaining the monster, because it doesn't feel any danger from him. And it maintains a very small size. And it's so small in fact that him holding it very tightly, the creature is so weak in that state that it cannot resist it. So he keeps on holding it because it can't resist him. In fact, it's so small at this point of time, let's just say, that it probably doesn't even have any mental function going in within it. It needs to grow a little bit larger to start acting as a real creature.
Yeah, but the second it senses danger, just poof.
Yeah, it would start growing proportionally to the level of danger, and it would stop growing only. It would revert from the growth only until it destroyed every source of danger that it senses that provoked it.
How does it destroy the source of danger?
Killing them.
By crushing it, probably.
Oh, Jesus! All right, damn. I see why it's dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, and I found it really cool because.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
very interesting.
It's not just a secret for SCP Foundation to keep. It's also kind of a secret within a secret. Majority of the personnel thinks that the guy with Down syndrome is the anomaly, while in reality it's the teddy bear that he's holding. That's also one more thing, by the way, about SCP Foundation. There's so many articles about teddy bears.
No, obviously, that kind of makes sense because teddy bears are everywhere, and there's always, for some reason,
following that stereotype of children stuff being extremely dangerous and writing horror stories about such items. There should be lots of SCPs about clowns, but so far, thankfully, I haven't found one.
Really? Yeah. No. Are you sure? I think I read one.
Well, I wasn't exclusively looking for clown SCPs. Okay. I'm pretty sure there is because, for example, they announced the new series, right? They divide up their SCPs in series from 1 to 6. and I found
Yeah.
one that's called Megalomania. That's one. It's a reference to Megalomania song, and it talks about how Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States of America, is in fact an SCP.
Oh, jeez.
No.
And it's like one of the longer articles. Okay, it has like lots of logs. It has lots of documents.
Yeah, that must be interesting for the Trump supporters.
Yeah, that feeling when a liberal destroyed you.
I mean, or if we're gonna continue to talk about different types of SCPs, one very interesting one that I read is SCP-662, and it's called the Butler's Handbell. And well, pretty much what it is, it's a very finely polished bell made out of gold. I'm quite sure that just sits in a room, and so pretty much it serves no purpose until, and it's safe. And it serves no purpose until you ring it, but the ringing sound doesn't come within the bell, it comes from somewhere else, and when you look in that direction, a butler appears, a very finely dressed gentleman appears, and will complete almost any request you make. He says he does not know where he comes from, he does not know when he is born, he has no memory of that, and he does not know where he goes when he disappears, when he goes away, or when he goes to get stuff. So
what's the limit? If you ask him to, I don't know, destroy the world?
Well, there are things he says. I'm extremely sorry, good sir, but I am sadly unable to complete that request. He says things like that. So, I mean, it was pretty interesting. One of the things they said is like, assassinate Osama bin Laden. And he was like, I am very sorry, sir, but sadly he is too heavily guarded. So,
really?
and they're like,
I expected the SCP to be like, the story to go like that. In reality, it's not the US military that took down Osama bin Laden, but the one butler.
No. The thing is, he's able to do literally anything, but he knows his limits. Like, technically he could do anything, but there are limits to what he can do. Like, if Osama bin Laden wasn't guarded, he could easily kill him, but because he is guarded, he would not be able to. But then they said, okay, that's fine. Well, okay, go assassinate Class D personnel that is a few rooms over. And he's like, sure, will do. And what he does is he has to leave everyone's line of sight to disappear, including cameras. So he runs away, like tries to run around a corner where nobody can see him, but because there's so many cameras in the Foundation, he runs for a while, and then he goes into a shadow, I think, at one point. And any camera that's around him that can see him malfunctions just for a second when he disappears. And then he comes back and says, it's been done. And he shows the knife, and the guy has like been clean sliced his throat off. It's very impressive. So yeah. And he can
impressive that his neck has been so
usually SCP articles like that have like lots of information because they could easily take samples of the guy.
Yeah.
Did they take like his DNA or something?
Yeah, no, the most interesting thing is so they tried to, like, they said, okay, are we allowed to perform any form of like surgery on you so we can get more information? And he's like, yes, certainly, of course. And so they do. And they're like, but wait, will you come back? And he's like, well, I don't know, but I am willing to sacrifice myself. And he ends up, he slices his own throat for research purposes. And so they do surgery on him. They take his organs, they take like samples and stuff. And then what they do is everyone leaves the room, turn off the cameras, and he disappears. All the blood, everything is gone, even off the clothes of the people that were doing the surgery. And then you ring the bell again, and he comes back, and he's completely fine. He has no memory of being killed, and he's back to normal, as if nothing happened. Which is, I mean, I could see you'd be very helpful.
So they have infinite organs, basically.
There's an infinite butler.
No, you don't have infinite organs because they would also disappear.
Yeah, they disappear with him.
It kind of reminds me of a vending machine SCP. I'm not sure if that's a real thing.
I think I've heard about that one.
Vending machine SCP. Let me check it out because I might be wrong. It might
Yeah.
be not a real thing.
But
Any
it's
access
very
must be
interesting.
approved.
So, I mean, while Stas looks, another one of the questions they asked, so they said things like, oh, could you get me some iced tea? And then the guy's like, or the butler's like, oh, yes, what kind? And then the doctor said, oh, surprise me. And he came back after running around trying to hide from cameras. And he comes back with iced tea. He said, I've made this myself. And when the doctor drinks it, he's like, wow, this is the best iced tea I've ever had. And the butler's like, I am very happy to be helpful. And then when they actually did the surgery on him, the only thing they found in his stomach was obviously stomach acid or digestive acid, I think is the word, and this iced tea that he drank with the doctor. Nothing else, which is also kind of weird. But one of the requests he also said he could not complete was, they said, could you get me a blue 1920 Corvette? And there's only like 6 of those in the world. And he said, no, sadly, I am unable to. They are owned by others and whatever. So they did see like the kind of limits he had. But he was able to do a lot of different things. Yeah.
Ooh.
Does anyone have any SCPs they're willing to share? Any others? I mean, Pedro, I heard you said you have 2 backup SCPs in case.
Oh yes, there's this really funny one.
Let's hear it.
SCP-1947, or is it
So-
1974? No, it's 1974. And it's I don't remember what it's called, but it's just a tub of water with some water in it. If you try to drain the tub, it will refill itself at the same level that you drain it, and it's basically indestructible. So what it is that the tub and the water are they have voices in them, and the tub sounds like a vaguely Russian man, and the bottle sounds like an American, and the water sounds like an
yes.
American man, and they are constantly debating whether communism or capitalism is better.
Yes, I
that
sensed
is
something
it.
like that was coming.
That's their existence. That's it. And when they're not fighting about communism and capitalism, they're talking about the guy, the scientist assigned to them behind their back.
Well, the name, I found the name. It's Debating Tub and Communist Water.
Yes. Oh no, the water
That
is
is very funny. So they're
Oh
just
my God.
debating about what's better, capitalism or
Yeah.
communism?
yeah, that's all they do.
Damn.
They constantly
I really hope some
That's actually
people
pretty funny.
wrote down their conversations. They must be on a different level of like discussion meta, okay? If they were discussing it for years and years.
Yeah, there
That's
has to be like a
not what-
giant book entitled "The Conversation of Debating Tub and
I would read it.
Water." Yeah, I'd
I
read
would read it.
I'd read this over. Come on.
It's
Who
very,
wouldn't? Who
very
wouldn't
funny.
read it?
Did you have anything to say, Stas?
Yeah. I remembered about another SCP, kind of like that remind. I really like time travel, and apparently there's a lot of time travel SCPs. Okay, there's so many. It's
Makes sense.
and like one that I remember of, I don't remember the number. It's about an SCP that consists out of 2 pieces. So those 2 pieces are 2 people. One person and the second person are both university teachers, and they're like meeting up in a sort of cafe setting. I don't remember if the cafe is also part of the SCP, but basically it's a meeting that took place in like a couple decades ago. And the story goes like that one person is already sitting in the cafe, the other person comes in, and they're having a very interesting discussion. However, when they leave, the cycle repeats itself. So it's kind of a time loop that is going on. And here's the catch. One person remembers that they are in the time loop. They understand what is going on, that the time repeats itself, that he has been in this cafe for decades. However, the other person he talks to was not. he would always lose his memory of the previous cycles, and he would always be really concerned with a guy who understood what was going on if he showed any problems, if he showed as if he was in trouble. And the fun part about it is the experience of that person, because SCP Foundation or the anomaly itself somehow ended, and they managed to take out the person from this time loop. And his worldview was entirely changed because he managed to talk to one person day in, day out about every single topic in the world they could ever think of, because in reality they had all the time in the world to do so. The guy spent so much time in there that all of his relatives basically were dead, and he really didn't have anything else to lose when he came back to the world, and he got to know a lot of things about his friend because they were friends. That's why they were meeting in the cafe in the first place. And in my opinion, this was a really interesting story. But
that's kind of scary, actually. Imagine.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you're a pretty scared man of like just. You could add this as a phobia, like being afraid of like being stuck in a time loop in this exact moment of time. I guess that could be the case. But in my opinion, it's quite cool. Like a person kind of got on with the fact that he's stuck in the time loop and started discussing different topics with a friend that he was best friends with, and that was kind of a good setting. I think it made me think, what would I do if I were stuck like that? Because in reality, he could not even leave the cafe. It's not like Groundhog's Day where a person was able to go around the entire city and do whatever he wanted. All he had is an opportunity to talk to a person for all eternity.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't remember the number of SCP it is. I could try to find SCP
but yeah, like I said, there's so many. It's almost impossible to remember all of them. I mean, it is impossible to remember all of them.
I mean, I have one SCP. I think after this one, we should probably close it off. But this one's actually really interesting because you guys know what a symbiote is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, apparently there's an SCP called Blut, which was discovered right after the fall of the Nazi regime, just before the Nazi regime fell. Apparently, German doctors figured out how to make a sort of substance. Basically, what happened was there's a rumor that a lot of nuclear radiation was accidentally leaked out, and this came into contact with a lot of prisoners, and these prisoners who were starved and poorly treated eventually resorted to cannibalism to sustain themselves.
Jesus.
And this decayed meat that used to stay out there was actually infected, and the blood became the sort of, oozy substance that had a mind of its own and could bond to certain objects. And they call it blut because it looks exactly like blood. It was a dark crimson red, and it used to leave this trail of black substance wherever it traveled, which is really disgusting. But apparently there have been incidents of the fact that this symbiote can actually prolong life, and that it actually gave people who were bonded to this symbiote increased organ sustenance. Basically, their heart used to pump faster, and their liver used to produce more bile juice. That was the only two known effects of this symbiote. But nevertheless, this was pretty cool. But apparently, it was locked up after the Nazi regime fell, and eventually, due to its lacking a host, it eventually just lost its will to survive, and eventually just died off.
Wait, you want to say the SCP died off, or the person who was contacting the blues?
The people who contacted the disease, I don't know what happened to them. Reports say that overusage of the organs, especially the heart, led to failure, and in that context, people could not. The patients that were bonded with the symbiote died off, but there were a number of undocumented subjects that were in contact with this, so they might have survived. But the symbiote definitely died off.
Oh.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, all of these SCPs are very, very interesting. I think honestly, yeah, we could probably go on forever, but like Rahul said, it's probably a good
Yeah.
idea if we wrap it up. We've been going for, I think, over 45 minutes,
Yeah.
or
something
just
around.
about 45.
No, I'd say 54 minutes or something. Nearly 1 hour.
Yeah, well.
Yep.
I mean,
Okay.
I really like this episode. Talking about SCP, something that's fictional, doesn't really, make any logical sense, even though
Yeah.
it may have a proper storyline. It's good to talk about these every now and then.
Yeah, I do
I
agree.
mean, we could switch our room temperature IQ for one podcast as a literature club, if you will, and read
we
about
read
some
it.
read about some tales based on those SCPs. But I'm not sure how that would go because
I mean, we
I
did
don't really know
recently-
if there are any good canons. Like
We
honestly.
did recently read the Bro Code, so if Pedro takes care of Bro Code stats, you could take care of SCPs.
We need to continue reading the book.
That'll be a later podcast, Pedro. Don't worry.
It's very important.
Yeah.
Trust us. The bro code is coming. It's
Yeah.
not forgotten.
Also, I don't know if this is important to state or not, but these episodes. So this episode is probably going to drop in 2 weeks. So each episode is pre-recorded about 2 weeks, just in case people were interested to know, like, if we say stuff about, our current situations, like the quarantine. Just know it's 2 weeks prior of listening, just as an FYI.
Well, I mean, we could try to pump them out at a faster rate. Honestly.
Yeah, but it's probably better to keep them once a week, in my opinion, 1 episode a week. Otherwise, we won't be able to keep
yeah.
up.
That would be a
But
good
yeah.
idea. Okay,
All right.
that was room temperature IQ. As always,
Thanks for this.
thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Yeah, well, goodbye.